Hey boys, get up. It's morning. We're still here. We survived the Mayan calendar. Hey guys, it's Yukon. And to those of you who have wondered if we were dead, I'm very pleased to announce that we seem to have survived the 13th Baktun. We've been bugged out the last 4 months in our survival mountain shelter awaiting the end of the world, and some of us aren't too pleased about that. But while the world revels, rising through one apocalypse, unbeknownst to all, another seems to be falling upon us. It's been a time of record snows and deadly lows, and so beholding what the ancient prophecies of old had seemingly foretold, Skyfall, we thought it was time to stop in for a quick Ice Age update. The official reports I have before me show that this winter season has not only broken thousands of snowfall and low temperature records across several continents this season, but has also produced the highest percentage of northern hemisphere land covered by snow ever recorded by scientists. Research teams in Oymyakon, Siberia have also confirmed that this season has produced the lowest ever recorded temperature seen in the northern hemisphere, negative 96.1 degrees. This, of course, comes just months after the Russian research station Vostok measured the lowest September fall temperature ever on planet Earth, negative 119 degrees. And although the official death toll has not yet been released, my own unofficial calculations show that the record cold and historic snows have resulted in the deaths of at least 1,000 people on at least 3 continents this season, many in regions you would never suspect. In the United States, this historic season has produced a battery of blizzards and series of snowstorms that spawned the largest snow cover in American history, at one point covering 67% of the continental U.S. And while the brunt of these Arctic invasions was, as expected, taken in the high latitude, high altitude regions of the U.S., it seems that no location was spared. In Florida, the Sunshine State saw one of the coldest winters on record, with the coldest March ever recorded, and subsequently the largest mass die-off of the state's endangered manatee population. And while the big media headlines blamed red tides for the dead manatee littering the lagoons and beaches of Florida this winter, wildlife biologists quietly acknowledged that at many locations the water temperature had simply become too low to allow the survival of the state's native indigenous seagrass, the main food source for the manatee. Some regions of Florida have seen a near total extinction of this native flora. Brevard County and the Indian River lagoons have lost over 99% of this native seagrass. In California, frost advisories, freeze warnings, and record cold made coats and winter clothing suddenly a necessity for Southern Californians. And in Los Angeles, the unthinkable. 2 separate incidents of people dying of hypothermia. That's how cold the temperatures were there, in Los Angeles. Multiple deaths being reported in at least 12 other states, with several cities in America this year receiving not 1, but 2 all-time high record snowfall. And although official U.S. government data has not yet been released, my own personal hand calculations show that the U.S. received over 4,700 record snowfalls across the continental U.S. this winter. And this Ice Age invasion has not been unique to these lands. Around the world, the mercury has been plunging, and the sky has literally been falling. To Russia, where skyfall snows and deadly lows paralyze the nation and bring the national economy to a grinding halt. Precipitation rates so high that thousands are left stranded along the nation's roads, and the government is forced to deploy the Russian army, setting up military-grade field kitchens and fuel stations along the nation's interstates, as the motherland scrambles to save the lives of thousands stranded along the nation's highways, living out of their own vehicles. The government ministry reports an official death toll of 311. In Hungary, where apocalyptic snows pummel the Huns with the worst winter storms ever seen. Laying siege and entombing the capital Budapest under the highest snowfall totals since the depths of the Little Ice Age. Ferocious snowstorms with accumulation rates of near 1 foot an hour overwhelm the capacity and resources of the country. Desperate Hungary is forced to deploy its own T-72 tanks and armored divisions throughout the nation in an effort to save thousands marooned. In Normandy, France, where 16 towns and villages are buried alive by historic snows, and France is forced to call up 12,400 firefighters, policemen, and 1,000 special government agents to dig the region out. As continuing snowstorms collapse the exhibition hall in Caen, and strand over 400 nuclear employees at the Beaumont Hague Nuclear Center, the French government is forced to deploy an entire army regiment to the region. And in India, an outright Aryan invasion. A winter of intense cold and thick ice-laden fog that has engulfed the nation and its capital, claiming the lives of over 550 people and bringing chaos to the capital city as morgues overflowed with the bodies of the hypothermic victims. Bewildered locals banded together for survival at communal fires as the Indian government was forced to tap its disaster relief emergency fund. In the Ukraine, the nation reels under the weight of the largest snowfall totals since meteorological observations began in 1881. Under a national state of emergency, officials are forced to send in over 18,000 rescue workers and 400 extra plows to dig out the nation from the largest snowfalls ever seen. And in the midst of the chaos, officials are forced to reassure the public after the record snows partially collapse a roof at one of the buildings at the Chernobyl nuclear site. And surreal scenes in subtropical Bangladesh as Arctic rule is imposed upon a region unknown to cold. Over 100 Bangladeshis found frozen to death throughout the country in a phenomenal outbreak of Arctic air that stuns the nation. Shell-shocked citizens overwhelming hospitals and local clinics seeking shelter. As the Bangladeshi government pleads with the international community for assistance, the Western media is deathly silent. Over 100 people dying in subtropical Bangladesh of extreme cold weather conditions, and not a peep out of the global warming media. And one of the most brutal winters in history for China has killed over 180,000 cattle and an unknown number of people, including 3 Japanese tourists who reportedly froze to death on the Great Wall of China when their party was surprised by a ferocious blizzard, and where the Chinese government is currently undertaking a cleanup after a massive landslide that buried the village of Zhangjiakou in southern China. This landslide, the product of over 1 month of near continuous snowfall and freezing rain, causing the hills around Zhangjiakou to collapse upon the city without warning at 8:20 in the morning, burying so much of the city and causing such widespread destruction that Chinese officials have decided that the village will never be rebuilt, and what remains of the community will be moved to a new location. Chinese officials report that miraculously several survivors have been found in the rubble of the village of Zhangjiakou. And in the land of the rising sun, Skyfall. Unreal snowfalls being reported across Japan this winter, resulting in the deaths of numerous people and actually even derailing one of Japan's high-speed, high-tech bullet trains. Over 175 inches of snow being reported at the hot springs resort of Skyu, the most ever recorded amount of snow anywhere in Japan. Anyway, guys, I could literally go on for hours on this subject. There's so much we didn't get to. Record snows in Turkey, record snows across the Middle East. What about the record snows in Pakistan, military convoys being buried alive there? Record snowfalls in Mexico, killing dozens there. The Ukraine receiving a month's worth of snow in one day. Bridgeport, Connecticut, an entire year's worth of snow in 24 hours. Amarillo, Texas, 2 years of snow in one afternoon. On and on and on. Anyway, guys, I'd like to wrap this up by saluting the ancient Mayan scribes and scholars who compiled the apocalyptic writings. It seems to me they've done a far better job of predicting the current state of both the sun and this planet's climate than my local weatherman or even the experts at NASA have managed to do. And yet somehow they were making these predictions thousands of years ago. But lucky for us, we also know that the Mayan apocalypse was nothing more than a fairy tale. After all, it warns that the start of this new apocalyptic era would be heralded by the arrival of a powerful group of extraterrestrial gods that would return to Earth and cause great destruction. So until we see that happen, I don't think we have too much to worry about. Anyway, guys, we hope you're doing well, we hope you're being safe, and hopefully it's not 2012 where you are.
Dad, I thought you said we could go home.
I think we might want to stay in here a little bit longer.